Hello, hello, and good evening. We will let people trickle in and get started shortly. Thank you, everybody, for meeting us here today. Hope you are enjoying the day and the beautiful weather. We will
Yes,
begin shortly, but just letting some folks trickle on in.
commenting on the weather. You could be anywhere in the world with this nice weather, and you're here with us, so we appreciate it.
All right, we will give folks one more minute to join us, and then we will get started. Thank you all for your patience. All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the pre-submittal meeting to discuss the request for temporary art installations and public art acquisitions for Atlanta Beltline Art. As a courtesy, we would like to remind you of ABI's data collection policy. In order to meet our promise of a Beltline for all, we are working to collect demographic data and geographic information from all of our participants this evening. This information is strictly for internal reference and research purposes only, and that is to guide our outreach and public engagement efforts, and it will not be distributed to any other entities or organizations. So really appreciate your understanding and support of our initiatives. My name is Amina Cooper, and good evening again. I am the Director of Arts and Culture for the Atlanta Beltline Inc., or ABI, and that is the organization responsible for the implementation of the vision of the Beltline. We have several members of our team that are joining us virtually, and I will introduce you to them all very shortly. Atlanta Beltline Inc. is committed to creating a culture within the organization that values and advances equity and inclusion. And part of that means that representation of the 45 plus Beltline neighborhoods across the Beltline are on our staff. Staff members participating with you tonight represents ABI's Arts and Culture team and are here to support your experience with their presentation and our Q&A. So with that said, welcome again, and I am pleased to introduce Rachel Walsh, who is our project assistant. Thank you, Rachel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Walsh, and I will provide an overview of the meeting format for tonight. We are joined by several viewers on Zoom virtual meeting platform. If you are watching on the Zoom platform as an attendee, you can follow along on the agenda at the top of each slide. If you are listening by phone, I will walk through the meeting agenda now. Our agenda tonight has opened with a welcome and meeting logistics. We will follow this with an overview of our program and then do a deep dive on this call for art. There will be time for questions and conversation. Again, if you are an attendee, you may have noticed by now your line is muted and you will not be able to share your video screen during the meeting to provide the best listening experience for everyone on the line. A recording of this meeting, the presentation, and all other supporting materials will be made available online at beltline.org/art/call-for-artists. If you are having technical difficulties during this meeting, please email artengage@atlbeltline.org. Should we encounter any technical difficulties, we appreciate your patience as we sort them out. Before we jump into project updates, I would like to get a sense of the virtual room by asking you all a few questions. As I start the poll, you should see a question pop up on your screen. This feature is not available if you have called in or are viewing in a browser online, but I will read the results to the group. The first question is, have you ever applied for any Atlanta Beltline Art call for art opportunity in the past? All right, and it looks like most everyone here has not participated in a call for art before, so we are so pleased to have you with us for you to learn more about this opportunity. Our next question is, would you describe yourself as an artist, creative, craft person, or cultural worker? Right, and it looks like everyone in the meeting tonight considers themselves an artist or creative of some sort, so that is great to know. To make sure we are all on the same page, I would like to take a moment and provide a high-level overview of the Beltline's portfolio of projects. The Beltline's vision statement is to be the catalyst for making Atlanta a global beacon for equitable, inclusive, and sustainable city life. Atlanta Beltline is working with MARTA in its efforts to implement the 22 miles of light rail transit, 1,300 acres of new green space, 33 miles of multi-use trails, 5,600 units of affordable workforce housing, $10 billion in economic development, 48,000 construction jobs and 50,000 permanent jobs, public art, environmental cleanup, and community engagement. Our logo and website aren't the only things that changed during our recent brand refresh. We've also rolled out an updated naming convention for the completed trails on the main corridor. This change will help prepare the Beltline for 2030 and beyond, and make it easier for future Beltline goers to navigate the 22-mile loop. The updated corridor names align with the cardinal directions and match how Atlantans define various parts of the city. Where possible, we've looked for natural barriers, such as major roads and interstates, to help create logical breaks between the different areas of the corridor that are easy to understand, especially for those unfamiliar with the trail. The updated naming convention also ensures that each section of the 22-mile trail is roughly equal in length. Now, here to give some background on the Atlanta Beltline Art Program, Chelsea Morey, Arts and Culture Project Manager.
Thank you, Rachel. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chelsea Morey, and my role is to manage the execution of arts and cultural projects and events for the Atlanta Beltline. Atlanta Beltline Art is the largest outdoor temporary art exhibition in the Southeast, activating spaces along roughly 12 miles of the planned 22-mile corridor. The public art featured in the annual exhibition is carefully selected by an arts and culture expert jury and community members based on set criteria that aim to be as inclusive and equitable as possible. The Lanier Gallery represents artists from across the region in a variety of mediums. So we have sculpture, murals, style writing, dance, music, theater, photography, fashion, film, and more. The Atlanta Beltline welcomes 2 million users a year who are exposed to a number of art installations from the temporary and continuing collections. To date, more than 90 projects have been commissioned as a part of the growing year-round collection. Atlanta Beltline Art is managed by a team that includes myself, Lynette Reed, who is our VP of Planning, Engagement, and Art, and then some faces that you've seen on the call today already, Amina Cooper, our Director of Arts and Culture, and Rachel Walsh, our lovely project assistant. We are also supported in this work by several key team members that include conservators, a consulting production manager, and consulting events manager. Our program is also guided and supported by Beltline Public Art Advisory Committee, or BPAC. Created by Atlanta Beltline Inc., BPAC is an advisory committee that works closely with Atlanta Beltline Art staff to give counsel on projects and commissions around the corridor. These community-based arts and cultural experts evaluate art-related design and construction activities around the loop, review and recommend sites for future commissions, and advise on various approaches and budgets for art proposed by community members. BPAC meets monthly and is a 2-year volunteer role We are pleased to introduce the newest members of the BPAC, which were elected and brought on in February of this year after a public call for new volunteer members. So here is our new body of BPAC. Now I'd like to throw it back to Amina Cooper to talk about the specific opportunity, the request for temporary art installations and public art acquisitions.
Yes, thank you so much, Chelsea and Rachel. So the request for proposals that you may have seen and are responding to is a new and unique opportunity that is seeking temporary art installations as well as a direct acquisition of public art. For our temporary art installation category, artists are invited to temporarily display original works in arts and cultural installations that are along the Beltline. These can include sculpture, light-based works, murals, photography installations, and more. The caveat here is that these works need to be completed and in a state that is ready for installation. However, you will retain the rights and the ownership of your work, and after the exhibition period, will be able to retrieve your installations and your projects. The difference with our public art acquisitions is that this is conceived to be work that would be acquired by the Beltline, so purchased and owned by the Beltline, with the intention to be exhibited for long-term outdoor exhibition. Again, these pieces should be finished, original, and owned by the applicant at the time of application. Eligible works include sculpture, other three-dimensional works that can be installed along the corridor, these works that are durable and conducive to long-term outdoor exhibition again. All right, let's talk about artist eligibility. We are casting a very wide pool here. You just need to be over the age of 21, respond fully to the solicitation package. So that is that large RFP document that's online on our website. Answer and complete all of the required information there. And again, if you have previously worked with the Beltline, have completely and successfully managed your project. So if you've worked with us in the past, have closed out that project successfully. Okay, now I'd love to talk to you about our requirements for this RFP. These are the items that you need to submit in order to respond to this call. So we are requesting an application form, which you can find at the end of that RFP package, as well as the online form and application that you'll be guided to from our website. You need to also submit an artist statement, your CV or resume. And if you are submitting, a request for us to purchase or loan work, we'd love to see images of that work along with an annotated image list if you have more than one work or more than one image of that work. Please also include a budget detail as well as references. These materials must be submitted via SlideRoom, which is a new cloud-based online application system that we're utilizing this year. You can visit the application portal at Atlanta Beltline Art, that's slideroom.com, and create a login. After that, you will simply follow the prompts to drag and drop your application materials where requested by the online application. All materials must be submitted by the deadline, which is Monday, March 6th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Next slide, please. I'd also like to talk about our evaluation criteria. So when you submit your application after the solicitation period closes, these will be reviewed by a group of experts. And I'm going to share with you the considerations that they're going to be making when selecting these works. First, they're going to be evaluating against artistic and cultural merit. And so that's, just making sure that the work reflects multiple attributes of excellence and the external qualities and underlying values represented by the work. And that is understood as the work's ability to inspire, to educate, to convey communal meaning, and to reflect cultural equity and integrity. Next, we are looking at the experience of the resume of the artist. So again, that is where your resume and your references all become important factors. So we want to make sure that the applicant has a strong artistic or cultural practice, that they have the technical skills that are needed in order to carry out this project or are reflected in the work, again, or in the qualifications. And if you are an artist, we want to make sure that you maintain and have evidence of a professional work ethic and studio practices and business practices if you are registered as a business. The idea here is that we want to make sure that you are able to execute and deliver your work on time and at the budget that you're proposing if you are engaged for this project. Also, we are considering feasibility. So we want to make sure that all of your budget materials make sense, that you're considering fully all costs that include transportation, your insurance, and other costs that are related to delivering or removing this work, that all of that is considered as a part of the materials that you are submitting, including your budget. And then finally, this is responsiveness, right? So this is just an evaluation that makes sure that you have submitted a full and complete response to all the components of this call, that you've responded fully to all of the required materials, that they are uploaded and submitted on time. So our selection panel will be looking at your proposals with these evaluation metrics in mind. Thank you. All right, so I am going to now welcome back Chelsea Morey, who will help facilitate our virtual Q&A.
All right, thank you. Thank you, team, for that wonderful presentation. So as stated in the beginning of the meeting, we will answer as many live questions as time permits, or if you don't have any questions, we'll wrap early. So questions and comments can be typed or verbally expressed by raising your hand. Our audience is made up of Zoom, online, and phone attendees. So let's briefly review how you all can contribute to this conversation. Phone attendees, if you would like to speak, press *9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand when discussion begins. A member of the team will open your line when it is your turn, and your phone will prompt you to press *6 to unmute yourself. Online attendees, you can submit a response anytime in the Q&A box. In addition, you can upvote a response by clicking the thumbs up icon. The raise your hand feature is also available to all Zoom participants. However, we'll prioritize phone attendees if we have any. So I will open the room for any kind of questions that you might have for us. And of course, we'll allow you some time to type your questions if you're typing away. Deshawn has raised their hand. Deshawn, are you able to type in the Q&A box for us?
Hi.
Oh, there you
I
go.
was trying to type in the Q&A box, but it said chat is disabled.
Gotcha. This works. We can hear you.
Okay, great, great. So, I'm actually applying for the arts and culture coordinator position, and I wanted to attend just to see like how you guys go about the logistics side of it. So, just like to ask, and I'm pretty sure like some artists may have the same question. What is the level of like technical support does the Beltline provide for the artists versus what is it expected of the artists?
That's a great question. Thank you for joining us tonight. Like I said, we have a team of conservators. So once the work, if it's up for long-term exhibition, we will take care of the maintenance of that work. And is there anything else that we are acquiring a team of installers and deinstallers. So that's also something that's in the works that we can provide. In terms of just installation and the temporary and permanent pieces, is there anything else that I'm missing, Amina?
No, Chelsea, I would say that covers it. We should be able to provide support for artists that need assistance coordinating the actual physical installation of the work.
Great, great.
Thank you for your question.
All right. And then I have a few questions in the chat from Faye Monet. The first set of questions, first question, if concrete needs to be poured, will that be considered temporary and what are the limitations? And can you apply to both calls referring to the public performance one? I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And can performance count in temporary installations?
Great questions. So I would say yes, you can apply to both calls. We have a active call also for public exhibitions and signature events. So if you're familiar with the Lantern Parade, that's a type of event that has come from that call in the past. If you're interested in applying for that as well, please do so. But it is more of like a temporary installation and event focus category. So I will toss it to Amina in terms of can the performance count as a temporary installation, or would we ask that she apply in the more of like the event kind of category?
Yeah, I would say it could certainly qualify here. It could also qualify for public exhibitions and events. Performances seem more like it would be appropriate for that latter category, but might as well you can submit for both.
Right. And then the concrete question.
Yeah, I would include those considerations in the overall project budget, and in the information that you submit, but that's certainly fine. We would just need to know if there are requirements with regard to the work that specify, depth of concrete, amount of concrete, what dimensions of a pad should be, that you include that in the proposal that you submit.
And then one final question from Faye Monet is, are the insurance requirements the same as in previous years?
I would say that depends. So for performances and activations, our insurance requirements are one thing. For art acquisitions, they differ depending on whether you're installing or not. But the insurance requirements are included in the request for proposal, that full RFP document. So I would just request that you just review that again. And if you have any additional questions around insurance requirements, and again, I appreciate that forward thinking. Please send an email to artengage@atlbeltline.org. And then anything. Oh, I would also say that insurance costs should certainly be considered and included in your project budget. Right. So if you are saying, hey, I would love the Beltline to purchase this work, or I would be interested in a temporary loan of this work, please include what that cost would be for you to carry out that insurance in your project budget, so we make sure that we cover that in our award to you.
Yes, insurance is an important piece, and we want to make sure everyone gets paid what they need in order to have a successful project. Good questions.
I answered this question in the chat, but just so that everyone has a chance to hear or see it, Faye Monet also asked about a Zoom for the call with the May 9th due date, and I noted that we had a meeting for that last week, but those meeting materials are available on our website if anyone is interested in those.
Thank you, Rachel.
I would also encourage to send any questions around this call, this opportunity, or others to Art Engage, our Art Engage email before those calls close, because somebody will get back to you with a response and a question, or if you need technical assistance, that is a place to seek that sort of support or answers.
Yes, especially with this new call. If you have questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah. And then one final reminder before we wrap for our poll. That full RFP, at the end of that RFP, you'll see a draft agreement, services agreement, so that you could, just have a sense of what to expect in contracting with the Beltline, as well as the insurance requirements. And then more importantly, well, not more importantly, but importantly, we have our form. So that's where we are hoping that you will respond and capture all of the data related to your work. That includes an artist statement, artwork dimensions, artwork fees and costs. So how much it costs to for the Beltline to acquire the work, how much it costs for the Beltline to loan the work, all those fees that you would be expected to be paid. Please capture that in that form that is on that RFP, which again you can find on our website.
All right. One more question from Deshauna. How long do the installations typically stay, and what is something that makes an art piece stand out?
Ooh. So that's also a depends kind of answer, how long things stay. Obviously, if it's temporary in nature, I've seen maybe a few weeks, but definitely we've had some work out on the Beltline that's been up for years that are not part of technically our foundational collection. So it just depends on the nature of the materials and the work, and what makes it stand out. That is something we will have a panel of folks who are interested in volunteering to be an art reviewer. So they'll be the ones who get to decide that. And then it'll go again to our BPAC members, as kind of a check and balance to make sure that everything is sound with the piece and whatnot. But yeah, it's really open to the community's interpretation. Good questions. Anything else before we wrap? Going once. All right. Rachel, do you want to move forward to our final poll?
Yes, indeed. Before we close out the meeting, I have a few additional polling questions. As I start the poll, you should see a question pop up on your screen. This feature is not available if you have called in or are viewing on a browser online, but I will read the results to the group. The first question is, was the information presented tonight helpful in increasing your understanding of this call for art? All right. And it looks like most people agree that this was helpful in understanding this call for art, so that is good to know. And then our final question for the evening is, did you... Whoop. Oh my goodness. There. Did you learn something new? Right, and it looks like everyone feels that they have learned something new, so that is also great news. Right. As stated earlier in this meeting, our contact information for the Atlanta Beltline Art team is artengage@atlbeltline.org. Thank you all again for being part of this process and participating this evening, and we will see you all out on the Beltline. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.